In this video today, I am going to be giving you valid reasons why you should not think about coming back to China. Hi guys, welcome back again to the channel. So recently I put out a video letting you guys know that China has officially opened up her borders and people of all sorts are allowed to come in, whether you're a student, you're a worker, even for families, and relations, for visiting visas. All of these are now available for people to, come into China with. And quite a number of students who still wanted to continue their studies in China are planning to return. Even though there is the problem of expensive flight tickets, some people have somehow been able to afford it and they are already planning on coming back to China. Now, while this is great news, I am super happy, super elated that people can finally come back to China to pick up their lives from where they left off. I feel like it is my responsibility to also bring to you guys the changes that have taken place in China in the past 3 years. 2019 was the year COVID began, and this is 2022. And in that period of time, a whole lot has changed in this country. Telling you guys, oh, come back to China and, continue what you're doing without letting you know the realities you are coming to face. It's not going to be very fair. China that you left and the current China are not the same. They are different in so many ways. The number one thing that is very, very common that anybody that you call in China will tell you about is the lockdowns. There are lockdown situations that take place every now and then. If cases rise up in a city, maybe a city discovers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 cases, they will very easily just lock down the city. Okay, students, for example, will not be able to leave the school dormitory where they live. Movements are restricted. You can't leave the city, you can't travel out of the city. It's a little better for people who live off campus because life is a little bit more normal. But if you are going to be living on the campus as a student, just know you're going to have your movements restricted a whole lot, especially if there arises cases of COVID in your city. Now, even if you happen to be living outside the school campus, there are so many restrictions with regards to lockdown. If it happens at a city level, you might be restricted from, traveling outside of your city and things like that. I remember just recently, about a month ago, my husband needed to go and do his passport, renew his passport in Beijing because his passport was expiring. And he could not leave Nanjing because there were COVID cases in Beijing. So he could not leave Nanjing to go to Beijing. We tried to buy a train ticket online, but it would not just purchase. And even when he went to the train station, they told him, oh, we can't book a train to Beijing for you. So these are just some of the things, some of the realities that you have to be aware of. Related to the lockdown situations is also the fact that the epidemic control measures are really quite strict. A lot of the times you have to have 48-hour COVID test results on your phone, on your Alipay, before you can access some things, okay? Let's say, for example, you want to go to the hospital, or you want to go to the bank, or you want to go a lot of places. They will ask you to, first of all, they'll check your health code. The health code is already, that one, if you don't have it, that's like the basic requirement, okay? Then, more than the health code, sometimes they might ask you for, a 48-hour valid COVID test. So, a lot of us in China, we currently, COVID test is like a part of our daily life, okay? The same way you brush your teeth, you take your shower, you do COVID test. My husband, for one, always have a COVID test result because for Southeast University, if you live off campus but you have to go to school inside the school, you always have to register a day before and you always have to submit a valid 48-hour COVID test. So for him, he has to do it every single day in order to have a valid test to use to apply to. I would also just like to say, for those of us who, maybe were working in China prior, or you had some job or some hustle that you were doing before you left China, I just want to let you know that I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, okay? But if you decide to come back to China today, just know that the chances of you getting that kind of job or that kind of hustle is really, really minimal, really reduced, because recently Chinese government issued a notice that a lot of training centers will be shut. In fact, a lot of training centers were shut down because they said English will only be taught by natives and will only be taught in kindergartens, and they shut a lot of training centers down basically, and it affected a whole lot of expats, foreigners who were doing these jobs as part-time or even full-time. Okay, so many people were rendered jobless and they are still trying to find their feet till now. So if you are coming into China with the hopes of, oh, I want to get a job, I want to do this, trust me, you're going to be seeing that, job opportunities. You outside China, you might be feeling like, oh, there's so many job opportunities in China, I can go there and be an English teacher. Even as a native speaker, sometimes you might have some troubles, not to talk of if you're not a native speaker. Okay, the gone are the days when we could just get these jobs easily and just make cash easily. Trust me, making money currently in China is it's difficult. Okay, the next thing you need to know, if you are a student, you were schooling previously in China before you went back home, and you're planning to come back to China and continue your studies, just know that a lot of the times, like a lot of the schools, their classes are still online. Okay, online studies is still very, very prevalent in China post-COVID. I know a lot of you have been schooling online from back home and you're just like, oh no, I'm tired of these online classes, I want to go to China and have physical classes, meet my teachers, meet my fellow students, and just feel like an actual student, because online schooling can be, tiring sometimes. I am here to let you know that if you come back to China, there are still high chances that you will continue online schooling whilst in China. You take your classes from the comfort of your dormitory hostel. You're still not going to class, you're still not meeting your friends, you're still not meeting people. Currently, I am doing a PhD program at Hohai University, and our classes are online, even though I am in China. So we still have classes online, we don't go to the school, and that's just the situation currently. So you might want to consider that and find out what the situation is for your own school. Some schools have actually began physical classes and people can go to classes and have physical lectures, but for a whole lot of other schools, the classes are still online. So do make sure to contact your school or the intending school you're planning to go to and ask them what the situation is before you make that decision whether or not to come back to China. The next thing I want to inform you guys about is that this one, I don't really know how to say it, but it just has to be said, and I hope you guys will understand me. But the truth is that currently in China, that the level of depression is very high. Okay, let me just tell you guys that the level, like mental stress, is at a very, very high level. Okay, people who are living and working in China, a lot of them are under serious mental stress because with the lockdown, with the restrictions, with lack of money, lack of jobs, lack of opportunities, so many problems, okay, that are going on in this country right now that sometimes people can't even be bold enough to come and tell you guys about it. A lot of people, and it's not just the foreigners, it's not Chinese people themselves, they are going through a lot of mental stress, a lot of depression. You see a lot of news about suicide and people just coming out their window and just jumping down and just doing a lot of crazy things because of the pressure of that this pandemic has brought. Of course, China itself is suffering economic breakdown, of course, because closing up their borders for the past 3 years hasn't been favorable to their economy. So just a lot of things are going on with people here in China. So you have to be mentally strong and mentally fit to say, okay, I can thrive or I can survive under this kind of environment before you come back. I feel like this is a very valid thing that a lot of people need to consider, because people in China are even leaving the country because of this reason. Okay, China right now is very, very stressed. In fact, a lot of schools, even I think every school in China, they have provisions for counseling and psychological. If you have psychological issues, they'll always send messages in the groups like, oh, if you feel like talking to a counselor, if you feel sad, if you feel lonely, they'll always send us what's it called, like surveys, and they ask all these plenty, like a lot of questions in the survey, and they're asking you, have you felt sad lately? Have you felt like your life is worthless? Do you feel have you cried? Like, they ask all these questions and you have to answer this survey and submit it so the school knows, okay, how the students are faring mentally, because there have been instances of students also just committing suicide in the dormitories, and so the schools are doing their best to avoid situations like this. So if you are not mentally okay, if you're up here, it's not top notch, my dear, you might want to reconsider coming back to live or study or work or do anything here in China. These are the reasons that I wanted to bring to you guys today in this video. I hope that with this information you can make calculated and well-planned decisions. This is not to say you shouldn't come back to China. I know some people might be like, oh, if it's that bad, then why are you still there? If it's that bad, why don't you go? Why don't you leave China? No, this is not the video that is going to tell you, oh, don't come to China, da 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 da. I'm just telling you guys what the situation is like. I'm just being honest with you guys, 100% honest with you guys, and also helping you to make informed, calculated decisions. Okay, after listening to everything I've said, you feel like, oh, I'm up for it, I can still do it, I will always survive, I will always push through, then by all means, you're welcome to China. I personally will be very happy to have you here. Okay, but if otherwise, just think about it. Okay, think about it critically and then come up with the best decision for yourself. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for staying up to this point. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. There's a red subscribe button that says subscribe. You can just click it. It's absolutely free. I'll keep you guys updated and in the loop of all the information you need to know about living, studying, working, thriving, raising a family here in China as expats or as foreigners. Until I see you guys in my next video, be good and stay blessed. Bye guys.